Number 4. This incident occurred during a Boy Scout campout when I was 15. My friend, who was supposed to share the tent with me, backed out of the trip at the last minute, leaving me to pitch the tent and sleep in it alone. As the sun set, and after a long day of hiking, we returned to camp to set up our tents. It was already dark, and setting up the tent by myself proved to be quite challenging. Someone eventually came over to lend a hand, and we all had dinner. Following the cliched tradition of sharing scary stories around the campfire, we all retired to our tents for the night. At this point, I felt somewhat relieved to have my own tent, as I had more space to myself. I fell asleep quickly, but was awakened in the middle of the night by the sound of someone stomping around my tent. Initially, I assumed it was another scout going to relieve themselves. You might wonder why our tents weren't pitched close together, but our scoutmasters had instructed us to set them up a bit further apart. I was quite distant from my closest scoutmates. The stomping around my tent appeared to be going in circles, and it became evident that someone was messing with me. I called out to inquire who it was, and in response, the person stomped off into the woods. I briefly considered going after them, but ultimately decided against it, trying to fall back asleep. However, the stomping soon returned, and the figure began circling my tent once more. Growing increasingly frustrated, I got up, unzipped the tent door, and fully expected to confront another scout. To my shock, I was face to face with a grown man, probably 6'5" and in his mid-30s. My heart raced, and I couldn't even summon the courage to scream. The man gave me a chilling smile and gestured for me to be quiet by placing his finger to his lips. In a split second, I turned and sprinted to my scoutmaster's tent, screaming like a child. He rushed out before I even reached the tent, and I explained what I had seen. Both scoutmasters hurried over to my tent with a hunting rifle, but they couldn't find the man. However, they did discover the tracks he left while walking around my tent. As a precaution, we were all instructed to set up our tents much closer together, practically right on top of each other. The camping trip was cut short the next day, and we all returned home. I've never been camping since, and I don't intend to ever again.